Hey all, Rick here. Strange New Worlds introduced a world under Klingon occupation in Imperial space, and this planet is under the control of Commander Kor of the House Kor, who would later be a recurring character in both the original series and Deep Space Nine. Overall, I enjoyed this episode, as I have with Season 4 so far overall, and this video is clearly a nitpick, but... So, if this is the same Kor, then... why the head ridges? They have clearly picked someone whose facial shape resembles John Colicos's, and the ages line up as well. Let's get this out of the way first. Mandatory. It's a show, it was a redesign. This is something that even Roddenberry himself said was fine, that the Klingons, as depicted in the movie era, was how they had always looked, and just to imagine that the TOS versions were more like the movie ones, because of budget. And of course, when we see Kor in DS9, along with two other legacy Klingons, he has ridges, once again, and it's never explained. This is sort of how I have been approaching a lot of Strange New Worlds, and even some of Discovery. This is Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary on PC. Stay with me here, it's relevant. This mode was a graphical remaster of the original game, but the game itself was the same under the hood. In fact, there is a button you can toggle to seamlessly switch between the old style graphics and the Anniversary's new look, which is a feature I love. This is how I picture Strange New Worlds. This Enterprise and this are one and the same. This Spock and this one are the same. These Klingons are these Klingons, and so on, just with the filter. But then we do encounter a problem. See, this graphical overlay only holds up as long as the changes remain cosmetic. As soon as attention is drawn to the difference in dialogue or something, then it becomes canon. This is where Deep Space Nine's Trials and Tribulations comes in. In this episode, a throwaway gag about the Klingons looking different, while funny and not much of an issue, does highlight that in-universe, the Klingon TOS movie era difference is established as real. Before it was explained in canon, we got a ton of other sources claiming things like human-Klingon hybrids were made in the Empire to act as infiltrators and such. And then we got a whole story arc in Star Trek Enterprise justifying it. I'm going to include some apocrypha here, as in canon, all we know is that Kor, son of Rynar, was born to House Kor and named for one of the ancient warriors in its lineage. The Imperial House not only sits on the High Council, but is considered royalty, or the Kronos equivalent to it. Essentially, the House of Kor was descended from the Imperial family of Kahless the Unforgettable himself, or at least records indicated as such. Kol-Sha and Kol are also both of House Kor and led it during the Federation Klingon War. However, Kol was defeated and his line ended, leading to Kor, son of Rynar, to take over the Great House. And that's about it for his lineage. But apocryphal tales cover more information that now clashes with this appearance. I've covered the Great Houses of the Empire not too long ago, and as a reminder, they often change their names to evoke current or former Grand Leaders. The House of Kor has also been referred to as the House of Marek and others, with several notable Klingons called Kor in its history. Marek was a former emperor and likely a descendant of Kahless, so this is where that royal connection comes from. But back to actual canon, the reason for this name change was the emergence of the Kuvat virus, also known as the Klingon augment virus, that spread throughout the Empire with lethal results. This virus was the one witnessed in Enterprise, when the Klingons were attacked by Zoom generation augmented humans, the results of genetic experiments descended from Project Khan. The Klingons thought that this was a prelude for future human augmentation military from Starfleet, so they began their own genetics program to keep up with this perceived threat. These augmented Klingons did indeed show stronger traits, but also took on human characteristics in appearance, losing their cranial ridges as a result. From this, however, a strain of Levidian flu was inadvertently turned into a superbug and spread amongst the Empire. Dr. Antak, with the aid of Phlox, was able to synthesize a cure for it based on human DNA, but the inoculation also had the side effects of altering the inoculated's appearance to be closer to a human. This is used to explain away the difference in appearance with the Klingons of the original series compared to the rest of the shows. The spread of this illness required large-scale inoculation across the Empire, leading to many of these human-looking Klingons. Now, the apocryphal history of House Kor was affected by this a lot, with many of its lineage afflicted and requiring the treatment, with even their children being born with the augmented humanesque DNA, hence Kor in the original series. So now we have a Kor who turns up in Strange New Worlds, who does have ridges in 2262, before losing them again by 2267, then regaining them again in 2375 for his appearance as a Daha Master in Deep Space Nine. Now, Apocrypha claimed that Kor was born this way, without ridges, with him then undergoing cosmetic surgery, or the space-age equivalent of it, so that he could look more Klingon again by the time of DS9, as did the other two. And I don't know how I feel about this explanation. On one hand, Kor was very tolerant and did not care for a person's appearance, even making a blood oath with the Trill Federation ambassador Curzon Dax. But then on the other hand, he was very classist, proud of his heritage and looking down on those of non-noble birth like Martok. Anyway, this new appearance of Kor contradicts the non-canonical tales of him being born a Kuch-Ha, a ridgeless Klingon. But if we must maintain some consistency with the original series look, then there's a simple explanation, though again one not verified in canon. It's simply that at some point in the 5 years between appearances, he contracts the Kuvat virus and has to undergo treatment for it, perhaps even his entire crew, considering that's the only Klingons we see him work with. We could also suppose that the treatment, after 113 years of development, is no longer a permanent effect, but takes a couple of years to grow back the lost Klingon appearance. In fact, the treatment being a temporary alteration actually helps to explain it all away, and tidies up a lot of the conflicting appearances of the same Klingons between eras. I've really been enjoying Strange New Worlds' Season 4 so far. Despite the nitpicking of this video, it does not bother me too much. I just give bonus points if you stick to canon and previous lore when including it in your tale. I've also been working on a video exploring Klingon-occupied worlds and what that actually looks like, as we don't often see deep Klingon territory, so this episode helps there too. Same with the Romulans at some point. So, thanks for watching this video exploring the lore of Kor's bumps. I've been Rick, and until the next one, goodbye.